Hello, beautiful people. Be most welcome to today's episode of COVID Around the World. This show is all about bringing real people from different backgrounds and different countries and ask them to share to you what are their views and perspectives about this pandemic. I'm VH, and here's our guest of today.
I'm Slovak. My name is Soña. I'm a Montessori teacher, and currently I live in a place in north of Slovakia. Yeah, what I'm up to. I'm 29, and currently I'm just teaching. I'm not having any other activities.
So, is that because of the lockdown, or like can you share a
Oh,
little bit with everyone what is happening in Slovakia in terms of governmental
mhm.
measures?
Well, first it was locked down like quite strictly. Everything was basically closed apart from like obviously doctors and grocery stores. But now it's slowly opening, and now I'd say like most of small shops and everything and restaurants are open, and it's getting quite chill. It's just I'm not doing anything else because it's just kind of like my personality where I enjoy chilling at home and doing nothing special.
I don't know if you saw a meme that I shared of the world going crazy, and then like the gamers and the introverts like all
Oh
happy, and
yes.
then we it's like
actually
nothing changed.
actually it's great because now I have realized I have so much time for like the activities I never did when I was like going to work regularly. For example, now I have a lot of time to paint. Uh, I'm translating one Sanskrit. It's kind of like a poem, and I've been doing it for past year and never had time to finish it because I was like busy with other stuff. And now finally, I can chill a bit and can open it and can read and translate. So I'm really happy about it. Well, I'm missing my
Great,
work, of course, but yeah, these activities are fun.
great. And what about like you mentioned that the business got shut down,
Mm-hmm.
and we were, as far as I understand, as a country, the first country in Europe to close its borders and to force everything to shut down. And so, how was also like the how are the companies tackling this issue? Is the government providing
Mm-hmm.
aids for the unemployed or the people at home? Like, what's going on?
Yes, from my perspective, I work in a kindergarten which is quite small. So at first we thought it's gonna be a lot of trouble because obviously since we are not public kindergarten but a private one, it means that we would not get paid. So yes, there is some aid from government now, which somewhat helps. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. Um, but what I hear from other people, like working in other sectors, like my mom who works in a bigger company, um, they are not really happy because many people are losing their jobs now. So I think situation for like random employees in bigger companies, it's even harder than for like the smaller ones who are getting some aid, and government is trying to like make them keep their jobs.
So on those companies, the employees are not getting any aids.
They are, but they are like, or I feel like they are in higher risk of losing their jobs because since Slovakia is like a country where they make a lot of like mechanical stuff, like parts of cars and so on and so forth, and suddenly the business was like shut down. It's affecting like many companies, and they are losing their jobs like much faster than I think the other areas.
Okay.
So. Mhm.
And I was going to ask you, like, what are the people's response? So, like, we had a change of government during the
Mhm.
pandemic,
Mhm.
which it's a little bit weird to understand exactly. Now there is exchange of words from both, or from all the parties, saying whose fault is whose,
Yes.
and it's a lot of chaos going happening. Um, so what is like the people's perception? Are they happy with the new government? Are they happy with the measures? Because a lot of the measures were
Mm-hmm.
also implemented by the old government, even though they
Yes.
were
Mm-hmm.
about to leave. So what is the people's perspective about the forced lockdowns,
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
let's call it, more severe measures than compared with the Western
Mm-hmm.
Europe, and the financial aid? So what is the people's perspective about this?
It's funny because like at first I'd say most of the people they were fine with it, like they wouldn't say it's too much. But during the Easter, where the measurements got even like more strict, many people got like really upset about it. Like they can't do anything, they couldn't go. For example, my grandparents and brother they live in different areas, and my mom she usually goes to help my grandma with like I don't know shopping or just cleaning the house, and she couldn't go there because of the lockdown. Or we couldn't visit my brother for Easter, even though he's my brother and he usually stays even here. And it's not like we would not respect the quarantine, but since he is in one city which is like just a couple of kilometers more far, we couldn't go. So that's I think also for other people when they started getting quite annoyed about the measurements that the governments took.
Yeah. As an outside perspective, as a
Mm-hmm.
foreigner, I think that the Slovak people, they're very blindly obedient, but
Mhm.
don't touch my traditions. Seems
That's
to be
true,
very, very,
actually.
yeah.
Mm, I wouldn't say blindly obedient, but yeah, like for example, now I'm staying in a small town, and here it's quite funny because everybody's like super strict about the rules. Like you have to wear the mask all the time, and if you don't, everybody's like giving you side eyes, even if you are like in nature. Or now it's a little bit better, but past few weeks it was like super weird. Or if you went to the shop and there are these like um plastic gloves or the disinfection you put on your hands. And like first time I went to shop, since they put it there, I didn't notice it, so I just went inside without it. And they were like, "Oh no, no, what's happening? Please don't do it!" Like really, really, really scared. But on the other hand, like there are like zero people with COVID here now. There was like one. Everybody was like having big drama when they discovered that one.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
now there is zero, which
Yeah,
is like nice, but
we are
on
the
the other
country
hand it's funny.
we are the country with the least amount of cases and deaths, and like all the numbers are uh, in the lowest extreme in all Europe. So, and I think it has to do a lot with the fact, and tell me if you agree, it has to do a lot with the fact that we closed everything very, very soon. As soon as we heard
Mm-hmm.
of what was happening in Italy, we closed
Mm-hmm.
everything. And also because everyone obey you, you didn't see, at least I didn't see anything that you would see in other countries. um, Here, like, people were it, a little bit scary because like there was so much obedience. Like, no one, the discussion is not that conspiracy theories were not coming, is that like the discussion wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm,
quite interesting to see it from an outside
that,
perspective.
that's actually true. Like I know that it looked more obedient, at least here, that it actually was. Like I remember people meeting up. There are like these parking lot, but they are like garages, but they are not in the houses. But there is like little area here where there are many garages in one place. And people usually go there. Like normally they socialize there. They I don't know. They have drinks there. They fix their cars and stuff. And now when the quarantine started, they would meet there anyway. Like they would close themselves in a garage and they would have a drink or stuff like that, which
Yeah,
was like,
maybe the virus will not see me here.
I was like, are you serious? There are like six of you in a tiny, tiny room, and you are like, you think it's okay? They were like, yes. None of us were
Yeah,
abroad.
it does come to me as it's more like a compliance rather than a health measurement. It's
Uh-huh.
more like it's
Yes.
about complying or not complying with the authority
Mm-hmm.
figure.
Mm,
From a
that's
social
possible.
perspective, it
Mm-hmm.
seems very interesting to observe.
Yes,
From a
but
health
on the other
perspective,
hand,
not so
I'm
much.
really happy it works, even though it's like socially funny.
Yeah. So you answered a little bit already, but what
Hmm.
are your personal? So you're not in this physically in the school anymore. The school's
Hmm.
your last day of work was
Yeah.
the 9th
Oh,
of March.
it was actually a week before everything closed because I came to this town to do
Oh
some
yes,
observations
yes. I
in
was
another
actually
school.
covering for you that day. Now
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. Okay. So the school's closed, and what's happening? Are you working from home?
Hmm.
How
Um.
and how is your daily life? And this is and answer carefully because a very hot topic online,
Oof.
because there's a lot of drama unfolding between teachers, schools, and parents.
Hmm.
So I would love to have your voice here as a teacher working
Hmm.
from home.
All right. So I do work from home, but since I work in a kindergarten, it is quite challenging because these young children, they like are way too young to actually use Zoom in a constructive way. Like, okay, we do sing songs, we do stuff, but I feel like it's so different to what their like developmental needs are that I don't think I can actually cover these online. And also I do like a lot of like different worksheets or ideas what parents can do with children, and I post those online. And yeah, I find those a little bit more useful than the Zoom bits. I usually have Zoom meetings in the mornings, and then I spend like the rest of the time like preparing the worksheets or preparing what to do at next Zoom meeting, or chatting with my colleagues and like planning what will we do next. Yeah,
So
I
you say
think
you
that's.
have like half of the working time, a little bit more, the same.
Oh, I'd say I work same hours, but I spend much less time with children, obviously. So now most of my work is like planning or thinking what would be useful, thinking what would not be useful. Um, I'm also doing like some propagational materials, like some leaflets and stuff like that for school when I'm not doing like the other stuff.
Okay. So what was the general, like, keeping in the area of education?
Hmm.
And this is for me, for obvious reasons, for me, it's one of the most important topics, as much as economy, as much as um,
Hmm.
the environment, pollution, etc. Like it's where the reason why I went to education is I think the if the normal is not working, as we often say, then we
Hmm.
need to do something about the future, and the children are that future.
Exactly.
Um, so we have, of course, as Montessori enthusiasts, and or even alternate. Unfortunately, we still have
Hmm.
to call it alternative to the standard model, which
Hmm.
seems to me very old and outdated. Um, what do we? What is the impact on education right now? Um, what seems to be the exits? What now the parents can see more or less what's being done by the teachers can see the following up that parents have with kids, so there's a lot of unfolding
Hmm.
in this
It
moment.
is.
So can you tell me about this impact?
Um, I'm thinking like where to start. It's such a broad topic. Oh,
We have 3 hours. Okay.
all right. um, so well, mm,
I'm gonna have
for
a
me
sip
as
of
a
my coffee while you think.
enjoy. Oh, for me as a teacher, I think like the work I do normally with children, it is not done at all because Montessori, especially in this age, like until 6 years old, it's all about like doing these practical activities where children can like feel stuff with all their senses and practice it, and it's face to face, and there is very few like um, online bits or interaction with electronics, and suddenly it's like it has turned completely. And even the way like I teach children, or actually they teach themselves in that setting, it's different because usually we don't do stuff where the teacher is talking or entertaining the children. Usually it's more about them searching for stuff that they want to do to like learn and to practice new skills. And suddenly I don't see like what exactly they are doing at home and what they need to practice, what I should talk about. And also a lot of the stuff is very individual. When I'm at work, I usually like work with one or two children at most at the time, and suddenly I have a group of, I don't know, 10, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 15 children, and I need to find something that interests everyone, which I don't think works very well. mm, but yeah, also th- what is plus with Zoom for children, I think that they are really really happy to see their friends, because now they don't get to see them much. Some of them, I know that some of them, they are having like these private calls when they chat with one or two children, but it's not like this community feeling where you see all the children in the same place and they are just discussing something. Which brings me to another problem, that they can't properly discuss stuff on Zoom, because the more children start speaking, the less Zoom actually works. So yeah,
Yeah.
not ideal.
So you mentioned the adaptation from models and from the teachers themselves
Mhm,
to these new platforms.
mhm,
You mentioned the unworkability um, of the models to be without physical contact, without one-on-ones, without.
mhm.
Um, do you see anything from the parents' side?
Mm, from parents' side, actually, they communicate uh, on Facebook a bit. Like I know that when I post something that interests them, that they would react, and they would say, "Okay, this worked in our home," but I'm sorry not to hear the negative feedback. Like I post something and
You mean
um,
that there's no negative feedback? Like, I mean, like,
um,
whoever has negative
yes,
something
I,
negative to
I
say,
would
they
be
don't say it. Is that it?
I would be really happy, for example, if I post something and it doesn't work, because it's also like me. I'm trying to figure out the things that would work, but of course, not all of them do. And I would be really happy for like some of the feedback that, hey, this doesn't work. Can you do more of this or that? And I get very like few of it. So yeah,
A very Slovak thing to do. Yes.
I, it can mean that they're happy, but I'm not sure about it, because it's
I
like
know the feeling.
yeah.
What about on a broader sense? I don't. Have you
Mhm.
been following some news, international news? Do you think that education is now being forgotten or is being highlighted? I mean,
Mm,
for individuals, for course, is highlighted, but from the
mm,
governments, it seems to be forgotten. Do you have any opinion on a large sense about the education,
um,
the real impact on
mhm.
it?
I was just thinking about it a few days ago that okay, the children who are privileged enough to have online connection with the world, who have internet, who have like devices which they can use to connect with school, to actually do some whatever exercises, or their teachers can explain stuff to them. It's, I think, mostly the school thing. Those are fine, but the children who, for example, have more siblings and they don't have enough devices so that everybody can do their stuff, or the children who have like, oh, for example, whose parents can't explain stuff to them that well, because they, for example, are working in different jobs which do not, for example, um, have the need to understand physics for ninth graders or whatever. those those are in like really really difficult situations. So now I think the gap is actually widening, so the education is not available to everyone anymore. So that's making me like pretty sad, actually.
Yeah, it seems that there was a realization that most people that most people didn't have. In one of my podcasts, I had a Oxford teacher that he was even saying that how blind he was about the uh, uh, unworkability of some children that they didn't have access to these things, which bring us also like to the economics. It seems to be very correlated, the education and
Mm-hmm.
economics and the opportunities that one has in life. Very, very, very interesting topic, I think. And yes, the amount of time in this this interview is not
Mm-hmm.
enough. But so I will just ask you something simple. Do you have a word of advice for parents and for teachers?
Oof. Give me advice, this. Well, I think it depends on everyone's situation. Like, there can't be an advice that would sort of fit them all or would work for everyone. But for teachers and also for parents, I think it's good to know that this will end at some point, and yeah,
Okay.
then we can
Then
work
I'll
on
put your
something.
phone number
Yeah,
in the description and people can call you for free private
please,
consultations.
please don't.
So, taking a little bit the education part of it,
Mhm,
what in Slovakia, what seem to be the next steps? So, now
mhm,
you mentioned that now cafes are open.
mhm.
Is there a plan, a gradual plan on how things are going to develop in the near future?
Oh,
We can cut now,
that's
and you can just
that's my dog. Just one
yeah,
second.
you can keep him around if but we can also cut this part and then you can
Oh,
restart whenever you want.
yeah, just one second. I think somebody was in the hall, so she always barks when there is a
Uh-huh.
person.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
You want
sorry.
me
What
to ask
was
the
the question?
question or
Yes, please, because I
okay,
forgot what it
all
was.
right. So taking the education side
Mm-hmm.
for the moment, in Slovakia, what seem to be the next steps? So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
governments are having these phases, and the Slovak government also announced. Can you explain what seems to be the end of the light? Sorry, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, so in Slovakia there are like 4 phases of opening everything, and now we are in the third one, and there is only one last left, which means opening the schools and opening like most of the public areas, um, which should happen like anytime within 2 weeks up to we don't know when, depends on how many new cases are there daily. Um, And as for schools, mm, I have seen that the governments in Czech Republic, they opened their schools already, and I know they opened kindergartens too. And for example, there the children had to wear the face mask, which was, I think, really difficult for both like teachers and children and everybody. So I wonder how they do it here, if there will be like a lot of restrictions or if it will be like a little bit lighter since a lot of time has passed already. mm. They didn't give like that much information on how the opening of schools will actually look, so I'm
Is there
wondering
a date?
myself.
Is there a date for kindergartens now
um
in schools?
no, not. They said like it might be in 2 weeks, it might be in 4, nobody knows really.
Mm-hmm. All right. Uh, so this is the tough question,
Mm-hmm.
the tough one, the philosophical one.
Oh.
Um, you said yourself that you have a lot of time now to do
Mm-hmm.
things that you wanted to accomplish. Is there something that you got a breakthrough in, some realization that you have, um, and do you think that we as society we experienced this time to
Mm-hmm.
think about us, some with their families, spending way more time with their families that they used to be. We had some alone time for some people. We had time to think. We had time to see what is missing to us. We
Mm-hmm.
had time to see how decision makers, politicians, make their handle with the crisis. We saw a lot of things unfolding that we
Mm-hmm.
weren't used to. With all of that in perspective, do you think that we can reinvent any area of our society on how
Mm-hmm.
we do things?
Um, we certainly can, but I'm not sure that we as humanity will. I'm quite like negativistic in this area, I'm afraid, because it seems people need to like experience a lot to actually decide to change stuff. I really hope, for example, education changes for the better now that we see like so many things weren't working and few of them were. So yes, there is always hope, but I'm not sure that it's gonna be like a drastic change, unfortunately, because it has really like a huge potential to be the change maker.
What about you? What are your opinions on the matter? Do you have any experience you would like to share with us? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like what you see, you could support me by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and help me becoming a full-time YouTuber by donating through the link in the video description. Thank you, and see you in the next video.